Hi, I'm Francesca.
Hello, my name is Yasemin Bozoğlu Erdinç.
Oh, hi, my name is Nasha Annabelle.
My name is Julia Park.
Hi, I'm Jody Bertram. Okay, so I guess I'll start from the beginning. When we first had our first week out of school, I was like, what is this really happening? I was so skeptical about it. I was also really, I thought it was unnecessary. I mean, I was just like, this is dumb. But realized after, all of the evidence started coming in that it was really an issue that we needed to look at. The first couple of weeks I had major anxiety, so I assume the students did as well. I was doing too much? Was I doing too little? I didn't really know how to, I can do stuff online, of course, but I didn't really know how to change my curriculum to really fit, to make it work for everyone.
To be honest, other than school, nothing is actually different.
For me personally, I used to have a school life and maybe doing some part-time for financially support, but because of COVID, and it's really hard, especially for a foreigner to get a part-time right now. So it's mentally affected, financially affected. Yeah, for me, it's both of them.
So it's not at the personal level. I'm living with my husband and with my two sons. So it was better for me to stay at home and teach from distance, remote teaching. But professionally, it challenged us to a degree that we were not ready for it. So teachers of my generation or older generations were trained to teach or offer educational settings designed to have face-to-face interaction. So I'm 43 years old. I have been to school every day since I'm 5. So I started preschooling at the age of 5. I was either a student or just after graduation, I became a teacher. So I have been at school throughout my whole life. That was the most challenging aspect. So I was trained by default to offer education face-to-face. Although we use technology to a large extent, we were not ready to offer education through this technology. So that was the most important challenge, I believe. But luckily, we are at Chadwick. We follow the current trends. In the last 10 years of my professional life, I was able to expose myself with the recent developments. I was following this new educational theory that is called connectivism. So it describes how the future of education will be shaped. So I was following the future of education, trying to adapt myself to this context. But following a trend, following a theory, and just finding yourself in the middle of a crisis doesn't really overlap. So the most important challenge for me was to adapt my teaching to this new situation. By the way, hi, Mark.
I get to stay at home a lot more and teach from home. I personally think it's a good change because I enjoy staying at home. But I don't know. To me, I know there are people that are struggling because they can't really work from home. But as a teacher, I think it was an adjustable change.
I think the biggest factor that COVID affected was my motivation. I think school, and I was working before this pandemic, it forced me to have a set routine and to sleep at a set time. Without that, I'm free to do anything, right? Unless I have, strong will, it's hard to keep a normal routine. And I think everyone can relate to this, that their sleeping schedule is a little bit, different from what they usually do. So yeah, I think the biggest problem for me, or I guess obstacle for me, was keeping a set schedule and following that schedule.
It was amazing, honestly. nobody at the airport. I got there, earlier than I normally would, just in case, and there was no lines at all because nobody was traveling.
Wow.
So I got in this one line and had to get my temperature checked and fill out a few things. And that we had to get a special visa before we left in order to be able to come back. So I did that beforehand. School did it for me, so it was that was easy, right? I just had to bring my stuff in. But yeah, when I got to the airport, I did the temperature thing and all that, and then I checked in. I went right through security, right through everything, just like there was no lines at all. I took a picture in the airport, and it was just like both sides. I saw like 2 people while I was there. My plane had a total of 30 people on it, I think, around that. I had my full own row, so I laid down the whole time, and I felt like I was in first class. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, obviously I had to wear a mask the whole time, and there was precautions taken, but it was just completely seamless. It was great. One thing was weird when I arrived back in the United States. I mean, I'm sure I got my temperature taken because they probably have like the scanners, but there was nothing. Like, it was like COVID didn't exist because I'm a U.S. citizen. I mean, obviously other people aren't even allowed into the United States right now, and same thing in other places too. But because I'm a U.S. citizen, they were just like, "Hey, welcome home." That's it.
Wow.
I got picked up. Like they gave me a paper that said that they recommended quarantine, but it was not mandatory.
Oh, it wasn't. Oh, wow. Nice.
Honestly, didn't care at all. Yeah, so the first 2 weeks I basically stayed at my sister's place, and I wasn't like, they were here too, but none of them are like going to work.
Students in general, I don't know what other people would say, but right now, for me personally, like what I see the students are like facing, is actually like financial challenges, because like we're not really like we're not in the class, and so most of the time, in order for students to be able to concentrate, they cannot be in their rooms. So like they actually like always go to cafes like every single day just to like just to concentrate themselves. And this is probably something that a lot of people don't really think, because like cafe money seems like so little, because probably an Americano costs for like 3,000, 4,000. But imagine like you having that for like 5 days straight. It's already like $30 or like $40 a week. And then like, not only that, like sometimes like you don't want to only have coffee, like you want to also have dessert or something. Like as much as like one can control themselves, like eventually like once in a while that you get cakes and everything. And people have the tendency here to like especially college students, so after you do class, like you definitely go out and like eat with your friends, so like the money spent is like being spent way more. But then like since it's like little money, like it's only 5,000 or it's only 6,000 or it's only 3 or 4,000, you don't really think about it, because like you'll really just think like, oh, it's just small money, like, and anyways, like this is for me to be able to concentrate in class. Whereas like if you're inside the class, like you get like coffee with way cheaper like prices, like 1,000, 2,000, like you can get it in Pyeongchang, but you cannot like just stay and like open your laptop and do Zoom classes in Pyeongchang. Like that sounds so weird, and probably like the workers will be like, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you staying here for a long time? And so for me, from what I see, it's definitely that, because usually people don't spend that much of time in coffee shops. Like they will usually spend like 3 to 4 hours just to do their assignments and everything. But ever since like the COVID happened, like people actually stay there for like 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours. And then sometimes like I don't know, but like sometimes people like ended up like ordering twice, like 2 times, like like something that you can only something that you can order in like 2 days, that you have to like order like one. No, like yeah, something that you can just like use 2 days to like spend those amount of money. Like you eventually ended up using it on one day and then like doubling up the next day. So like financially, like that's actually a problem.
It's just the attention, and I like, if you guys could see your teachers if you could see our workspace when we're teaching, like we're distracted too. You know, I could very well be on my phone. I'm just adult enough to know an angle to use it that you can't. I mean, my glasses might give it away a little bit in the reflection, but I'm just adult enough or professional enough to know to do it at an angle that you can't see what I'm doing. But your teachers are doing it too, which is why, like, you know, it's just, there's nothing here to hold us accountable, right? There's nothing here to police my behavior. It's changed. So if we're not holding yourself, like I am more efficient when I'm in the classroom because you guys are looking at me and I know I'm being policed in the same way that I'm policing you. So you take that away, you take that accountability away, and then things just kind of become laissez-faire. So for me, it's no one's fault. It's not to say like adolescents can't control themselves. It's just sort of like I think that at a school like Chadwick, we're very good at multitasking. And when we don't have to like completely focus ourselves, then we're multitasking. Because this now creates a barrier. You can't really see what I'm doing all the time. So I'm doing a lot more things at once and not doing any of those things really well. And you guys are doing the exact same thing. Oh, and it's harder to chase you guys. Like I'm spending more time writing emails, whereas I could just assault you in the hallway and be like, hey, you know, and do my thing and make you really uncomfortable. And I can't do that in the same way. So to send one email asking you to come talk to me is taking 10 minutes because I have to go into ManageBack, find your advisor, find your email, find your parents' email you, and then like respond to the emails that come after the email I sent. Like this is just not efficient.
I think the biggest challenge for everybody is how do we run a Chadwick type program by distance, and it's particularly hard on the youngest students and their parents. You know, upper schoolers, by and large, they can figure things out and they're very independent and very creative and good problem solvers, but you know, for younger students, it's really tough, and then their parents have to play a role in it, and it's got to be extremely disruptive to the lives of the parents to try to deal with this.
For us, Yonsei, we have this policy where all the classes are was online. Basically, everything was online, conducted online, even the exams. But for us, if you are in class with less than 30 persons, then you can take like offline exams. So it's basically depends on your professor. So I have a friend that they have to go to school in order to take the final exam online, like offline, face to face. But for me, it's my case, I don't have, because I have like my class, everything was like above 50 participants. So all I have to do is taking online exams. So we have two types of online classes. The first one is a on-time lecture, which is Zoom meeting with professor. And the second one is a lecture, recording lecture, which professor will upload by the time of the class. He will upload it on our portal, and you go there and check it through the day. You can do like, if it's today, like you have a whole day to check the video and then study about that. And if you have any question, you can email the professor. But on Zoom in meeting, you can ask a question directly to professor, which is good. Like both sides have a good and bad side. So I will say overall it's okay for us. And for exam, we do online exams, which is kind of hard at first because everything have to be taken a picture, and professor give us a limit time, like 3 to 5 minutes to upload the answer, and mostly having like internet problems to upload the answers. So, but it was okay.
I think at first, because originally in my classroom, I don't have a lot of tech time, so they're not used to, this is probably the first few times that they have to talk through a screen. So I noticed that at the beginning, they are really confused, where, they have to complete their homework on screen on a certain app, and they don't see my face. And then as they get used to, learning over Zoom, it took them a very long time to be used to talking to a little hole on the camera. And like, how you have to look into the camera, but then you can't see the person's face. That took them a while. And also just the whole change, and I guess their comprehension. For me, I have to really modify how to explain to them what's happening in the world, because I don't want them to not know what's happening, but then I still want them to be able to understand it at their own level. For example, people are getting sick, but it's not that bad, but then you can't play outside, but mommy and daddy are going outside to get food, kind of things like that. That's, kind of challenging, but it's okay.
Fortunately, I feel okay because, I'm an introvert, so I don't really hang out with people. I stay at home a lot, so it actually doesn't change a lot for me. So I feel fine, and I also have roommates who I can talk to, so I don't feel as lonely, I guess.
Definitely. I think definitely it affected my mental ability and health. I think all of us, it affected us to some extent. I know for me, I had a very hard time with school this semester, especially because it's harder to get in contact with your professors than it is in person. Yes, there is email, but there's something different about being able to go to their office hours in person than being able to email them. Communication is way worse on email versus in person. So I really had a struggle. I almost changed my major because I was doubting myself so much. But I pushed through, and I think to remember that we're all on the same page. So yeah.
My mental well-being has not been very good because, for most of the people, I just said it like it's nothing. I just said it's not good. But I'm not sure if you guys can feel it, but since we're not going outside, so like this is like now our runaway. So like this is how we go outside, and then like we spend most of our times, whether you realize it or not, is to like first like Instagram, and then second, if you have TikTok, then probably TikTok, and third like YouTube, and then fourth like Facebook, and then you actually open your Kakao. It's so weird how like it's super weird if you really think about it. When before all of this thing happening, like the first thing that you will open is actually like an account, because you gotta like text people like, hey, like where are you, what time are you coming, and then like where and stuff, blah blah blah, and then the social media comes next. But since everyone is stuck in their house, and it's not like you can just meet people anytime you want, well, you technically you can, but the society is not telling you to. And so like Kakao, like I literally tried, because I have all of those accounts, and I ended up like really opening Kakao like last. I barely like reply people now because I have more time on social media, not the messenger, but literally like the social media. And it really is bad because everyone is trying to do their best, right? Everyone's trying to do their best. So like they're trying to like motivate themselves and like post like good posts on Instagram. Like it's good, but if you always see people, okay, I'm like, if you literally see like 25 people just like exercising and then you're not, then you start feeling bad. And then you start exercising, but then you start exercising not because you want to, not because I want to, but I just felt bad because everyone else is exercising, everyone else is getting in good shape, why am I not? And then like it really like ruins it, because like not only exercise, but like TikTok, like TikTok is really addictive. You can just scroll, and then like the next time you see, like, okay, let's say it's 9 a.m. and then you scroll TikTok, and the next time you see it's actually like 10:30 or 11 even. I actually tried that. Like I didn't even realize. Like it was like 1 a.m. when I opened it, because it was my first time like in TikTok, and then like the next time I opened it was like 4, and I was like, where did my 3 hours go? Because TikTok is literally just like a minute kind of thing, and then like imagine how many videos I watched that night. And then like even for YouTube, YouTube used to be a place where you can just share anything. Like, you know, you like if you have a good video or something and you want to share to people. Now people are literally focusing on how to be viral in Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And that really affects like your mental health, because the things that you see is now like, you know, literally just them trying to get viral and just like let's say if you're a food channel, then you just like, you know, you don't even know what you're cooking, you just try to make it look viral. And then TikTok like has all of these hacks, and like people start trying to use the hacks and like put it on internet. It's just like a cycle. And then if you're like a beauty, then like you're just trying to like, you know, you just try to like always smile and always look pretty and stuff. And meanwhile at the same time when you're editing, you don't like some, and then like when after you finish uploading, if the view is not as high, then you feel like, man, I worked so hard on this though. And then like seeing other people like going viral and like you having the same content, and you start comparing, and it ruins it. Even with Instagram, like I've been like trying to like disable my Instagram like a few times throughout this pandemic, and I still fail, because in the end, like I still feel like that is also a bad thing, because I'm way too attached to Instagram that I don't want to disable it. That's so bad.
You don't have a social life anymore. So that is I think that is the most part that affected for me. I cannot go out. I can contact anyone to go out just to hang out, or doing a group project and stuff, like just to interact with another person. And for foreigner living in Korea, I live alone, so it's basically affected the most. If I am Korean or I have a roommate, then it will be okay. I still have someone to talk to. But because I live alone, so it's really hard for me to find someone to interact with. Like, I don't want to interact with them through phone. I want to interact personally. So it's hard.
Well, I mentioned like Zoom. That was the first thing that we had to adopt, and figuring out how to you know, communicate really well with the parents, especially through technology. It's very hard because some parents are very on top of things. They read all their emails, they read the messages, but some parents, they don't. And then how are we going to keep track of all of the students? You know, our goal is still to educate each and every student, but when a parent is not, you know, responding to emails, or we don't even know if they've checked it, I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah. And
so how do you teach music through Zoom?
So it was very hard. So when we started online, we didn't do Zoom from the start. We started with just sending home Google Slides. So we did it all through Google Slides for the younger kids. And even for music, I had to change a lot of what I taught, because I wasn't able to teach them how to sing or whatever through Google Slides, right? And so I had to focus more on, like, we looked at more of like the theory of music, and we did more like, we learned more about like the history of music, or like composers, or so I had to change the content a little bit too. But then later on, we decided to start Zoom meetings once a cycle. And so they would just come in and I would just teach them a song. And yeah, but it was very hard because you can't have more than one person singing at a time. So I would just mute everyone and they would just have to listen to my voice and sing along. And so that was very hard, because as a teacher, we need to also be assessing them, and we need to know how they are, if they are learning the content. But because I'm unable to listen to each and every kid, it was very difficult in that way. So
well, I mean, everybody is now a Zoom expert. Yes. Everyone's got, Google Meets, everyone's got that. I think, so everyone's learned how to conduct things remotely. And I think it was a huge learning curve, because it just sort of happened overnight and it wasn't something that we normally did. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then also, when is synchronous the most important, and then when is asynchronous? And I think people have really gotten to understand, like, well, wow, our students are capable of doing a lot of things on their own, but some things no, some things, and so I think a lot of people have learned, like, it's probably expanded everybody's view of what our kids are actually capable of doing, which is great. And we wouldn't have done it if we didn't have to, but we did.
So do you think that now that we've used such educational tools like Zoom and Google Meets, do you think that this will continue even after this period?
Yes, I think that it will, you know, as appropriate. Now we're forced to do it for everything. When this is over, we'll be able to be selective about this is how I can really use this. And now that everybody is pretty capable with it and very comfortable with it, I think that it will be much more selective use of it, but yes, I do.
I used them all, and then I got tired of them really fast. And then I realized that every teacher was using the same tools, and there's really nothing that new out there. I realized how limited the internet is.
Did it shift your approach to teaching? No, it's the same.
It's the exact same. Like, we think that this computer is like this expansive universe. Like, think the internet is this expansive universe, and you realize how limited it is when you're on it all the time. Like, there's not many tricks in this toolbox. There's no way to really wow you. You know, there's nothing that I can find, and I've scoured, like, the amount of Pinterest boards I've been on, the amount of like Google sites I've been on, the amount of things I've gone to try and find something that's gonna like take you out and show you something else. And it's like, even if I do that, there's no challenge, because this is not, you're so good at this. Like, your aptitude for tech, if we're calling the computer tech, which we know is not it, like, that's not the only type. It's beyond anyone's like ability to understand. You guys are the experts when it comes to this tool. And so there's nothing that I can throw at you on this tool that's going to really challenge you. So, and like the projects that we do and all that stuff where I get to see you struggle, I can't do that the same way. I can't throw a struggle at you and then say, oh, well, the computer will fix it. That's not fair. So I'm forcing myself to kind of like create this like simple work on a device that you've mastered, and it doesn't add up. You guys are far smarter than the machine.
I mean, I predict that they won't be able to focus for that long, so I started planning my lesson really short, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because I know, you know, they're so young, and even though it's device and they like screen time, it's not as fun as playing games or watching shows. So I started with a shorter amount of time. So for me, I didn't really have trouble with them not focusing, because once they, 10 minutes, I explain, it's only 10 minutes, I only need your attention for this amount of time. When you're done, you can go back to playing or whatever you were supposed to do. They're like, okay, I can do this. And I guess I teach younger kids, so I know their attention's I don't have high expectations for them. So I wasn't impacted as much as other grades.